I think a lot of times we have these limiting beliefs of, that's great, I would love to have my dream life, but I'm just not cut out. It's not for me. And if you think that way, as Henry Ford said, you're right. That's how your life is going to play out.
Yeah.
But if you start changing your thought pattern, you can achieve it.
Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast with your host, Eric and Tiffany Vogel. We spent several hard years building a rental property portfolio so we could have more time with our family and live our ideal life. Finding your path can be difficult, so we're here to help guide you along the way with lessons, tips, and tricks to design and implement your dream life through real estate investing. Now sit back, turn up the volume, and get ready for this episode of the On Purpose Investor. Hey Pathfinders, and welcome back to another episode of the On Purpose Investor. We are so happy and glad and excited to have you here today for episode number 34, Limiting Beliefs. Was that serious enough?
Yeah.
I'm your host, Eric. And beside me is my beautiful, amazing, redheaded beauty,
Tiffany.
There we go.
Had to make sure I was ready.
You timed it right. You did a great job. All right, so y'all, it's November 1st, and we are getting ready for turkey season, moving right into Christmas season.
It's already pumpkin spice latte season.
It's been that.
I know.
Hopefully you had a good Halloween, and you're waking up this Tuesday morning, or whenever you're listening to this, having not eaten too much candy. And you're not in a sugar coma.
And don't steal from your kids.
Well, only the ones that you want and you know that they might not need.
You have to inspect the candy to make sure there's nothing wrong with it.
That's right. And when you inspect it, you pull out the things that you're like, yeah, I need that.
That Reese's cup. Yeah,
that's right.
They can have all the sweet tarts.
Yeah.
I'll take the chocolate.
No doubt. So, limiting beliefs. Today we're going to talk about just how, that self-doubt, that self-talk of, well, I don't identify as a successful person or a real estate investor or someone that takes risks or someone that has a lot of money. That self-talk is what really pushes the narrative inside your mind.
Yeah, well, and it can hold you back in anything, not just investing, but, you might have a thought of, I'm the person who's always been overweight. So that's just who I am. That's my identity.
Yeah.
And it can be a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but our thoughts have so much power that...
they do. And just drives me to think of Henry Ford and what he said. He went through a struggle putting together what became one of the most influential things in manufacturing with the assembly line. And, oftentimes I'm sure he was challenged that what he's doing just is stupid and doesn't make sense. And he would often respond with, whether you think you can or you cannot, you're right.
Right.
And that is that self-talk.
Yeah. I was talking or listening to something about Henry Ford the other day that really stood out, and it's going to be my soapbox tangent for the episode.
All right. Make sure you pull that ladder out to get on top of that soapbox. Don't want you falling off.
So when Henry Ford created the vehicle, cars were not a thing, right? So that was just horses.
Mm-hmm.
And people wanted a way to get around faster. And instead of him trying to build a more lightweight buggy or a faster horse or something within the constraints of the box, he completely blew the world up with the automobile.
Right.
And when you start investing or doing something different than the majority of people, sometimes you feel like you're just crazy. My parents think I'm nuts, or my spouse just doesn't understand, or your friends think you're just crazy. Why would you spend money on real estate, especially with, the changes in the market? And
there's always going to be some tabloid story about real estate.
Right.
Whether it's, rates have gone up overnight, or home prices have increased 30% overnight, or home prices decreased 30% year over year. This is happening.
Right.
Just think about that Henry Ford thing. The steam engine was a thing. The combustible engine was already a thing, and they were using it to power ships and boats and trains, but they had not used it to transport people on a micro scale.
Right.
And so he used something that was already being utilized and just reimagined it.
Right.
Repurposed it.
Well, it's like the drive-through. You know how drive-throughs came about? Someone saw a bank and the drive-through at the bank. I don't remember who it was. Forgive me. But he was thinking outside the box and saw, if they can drive through for a bank, why can't they drive through for a hamburger?
Oh, wow.
And that's how our fast food empires began, with the drive-through. So when you're approaching real estate or investing or changing your life in any factor, the thought pattern that you have has a huge impact. And you have people who have gone down the path before you.
Right.
So it's not like you're dreaming up something completely foreign.
No.
But I guess keep in mind, and hopefully this is kind of inspiration of, it's crazy, but it's not that crazy.
It has been done before.
Right.
And people have been successful. Yes, people have failed. And you will fail. It depends on what you do with that failure.
Yes.
And when I say you will fail, there are times you're going to take a chance and take a risk, a calculated risk. But you will take risks, and they will not come out to the way you wanted them to. What you do with that result will determine how you bring your life to fruition.
Yeah.
How you approach that failure is going to define who you become.
Yeah.
It's not the failure itself.
Right. Well, and what you do with it, I think a lot of times we get caught up in a worry cycle. And I know I'm very much guilty of that. And I think it's interesting. Researchers at Penn State found that only 8% of things that people worry about come true.
That's it?
Yeah. So 92% of the crap that you're stressing about and not losing sleep over and doesn't actually happen.
I think I needed to hear that today. Yeah. Because here we're under a big renovation right now, and I'm wondering, what if the granite doesn't get installed in time, and then I have to back up my tiler, and then when I do that, I don't have the ability to get my plumber in there, and now we're pushed back 3 weeks, and if the baby comes soon, then we won't have a place to go. We're just going to be here, and then we got 2 mortgages to pay for, and all that thinking all kind of, cascades upon one little thing.
Right.
But the likelihood of that one little thing going wrong, 92 to 8%? I mean,
92, yeah.
Yeah, so the likelihood of it coming true.
And of that and every other subsequent step.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have learned and realized over the years that certain things that happen, like let's say an eviction or, a bad purchase or anything negative, it's a temporary stress.
Yeah.
In 6 months, we're not going to be worried about that. So,
well, think about what we were stressed about 6 months ago. 6 months ago today, it was March, 6 months ago today, and we had just submitted our book to editing.
Yeah.
What were we worried about then?
A lot of things. But
There was so much stress surrounding that book. And, is it going to come out on time? Are we going to hit our release date?
Right.
Are we going to get all these other things in line? And we worried about that. Yeah. We stressed a lot about that. But today, now we're sitting here thinking it all came out.
Right.
It came out. It was a successful launch. We've sold a lot of books. We're happy. But, thinking back to that stress, it was very real.
Right. In the moment, it is very real.
And we lost real sleep. And we lost real patience.
Right.
Just looking
probably
back.
Argued with each other.
Yeah, we did.
And stuff. So, I mean, it's just, if you can frame the situation in the context of, in 6 months or 5 years, pick your timeline.
Yeah.
Will this matter? Most of the times it's no.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, all of that stress, all of that worry, all of that self-talk and the limiting beliefs doesn't just affect, the outcome of that thing. It's going to affect you as a person. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your emotional state. And, that can ultimately impact your entire life.
Right.
Because if you get so worked up and worried about this one thing and, your self-talk is, well, it's not going to happen. There's just no way it can happen. I'm going to keep doing it, but there's just no way. And let's say you worry about that for 4 months straight. Who knows? You might develop a stomach ulcer, which is going to have, very long implications.
Right.
You might have
high blood pressure. There's a lot of things that can come with it.
You might interrupt your marriage.
Yeah.
You might become a partner in your marriage or relationship that other person's not happy to be around. You got to find a way to tackle each thing that comes your way with a lot of grace and just understanding that it is temporary.
Right.
We're not making, decisions that are impacting the world as a whole. unless you're the president and you're listening to this episode, thank you for listening.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you think can impact everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can have all the difference between you having health and less stress and anxiety and wealth and your relationships.
Right.
The way you talk to yourself really matters. So with limiting beliefs, they're really a thought or state of mind that you think is an absolute truth and stops you from doing certain things. They don't always have to be about yourself. They could be about how the world works, ideas, and how you interact with people. This is something we got from betterup.com. So it's not just like, I'm not good enough. It's like the world is, my type of people are not good investors.
Yeah.
Or there's so many ways you could look at it. Like,
Right. I grew up below the threshold of poverty, and no one makes it.
Right.
Although there are
people
a lot
like
of stories. Yeah. People like me don't do deals like this.
Right.
And that self-talk it creates chaos in your life that is unnecessary.
Well, and it's reinforced at times too. Mm-hmm. Like as a female investor, I have experienced situations where you get better responses just because your name. I'll send emails with your name just to get the response I need.
I hate that.
I know, but if I let that hold me back, then it would have an impact on our business.
Yeah.
I don't let it hold me back though. I get frustrated and then either decide not to work with that person anymore or just get around it by using your name when I need to, or you handle that person, but
right.
You find a way around it, I guess, is the best way to approach it. So I guess we'll talk through how do you overcome limiting beliefs.
Well, first you got to change the conversation. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, personally, I haven't even looked at what we've typed out here, but you got to change that conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think that comes later.
Okay.
You got to start by acknowledging it.
Right. Okay.
So you have to notice, okay, I feel like I grew up poor, so I'm not going to be...
Now, y'all, I didn't grow up poor, okay? We didn't grow up with a lot, but I didn't grow up poor. Let me just reframe that.
Okay.
But if you are in that boat and you grew up poor.
Eric grew up with not a lot.
There we go. Let's just do that.
And I think there was an assumption for you of, what about college? Like, did you think college was something you were cut out for, or...
I think I said this on a past episode somewhere. I didn't know I was going to college until about 2 months before I graduated high school. And the only reason it happened was because someone believed in me at the school and said, you need to go do something with your talents. And I know you don't know if you can figure out how to pay for it. The admissions office will help you figure it out. You can get a scholarship playing the tuba. You're good at it. You have a good heart. You can help people by being a teacher. I think that's what you need to go do.
So you were forced to acknowledge it.
I was absolutely forced to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And I'm forever thankful that my high school band director injected himself into my life at that time to say, Eric, you need to wake up. Because when you graduate high school, you don't get the opportunity to have, the system telling you where to go, where to be, and what to do. You're going to be on your own.
Right.
And if you don't have something figured out, you're going to flounder, and it's not going to be pretty. Right. And I was terrified of what that life might have looked like for me.
Yeah.
Because I saw what the people in my town did after high school when they didn't have a road to take.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying.
Right. So you were forced to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
If you don't have someone in your life like that, I think it takes a lot of self-reflection and trying to find areas where you think either your environment or the world or the way you talk to yourself might be something you're saying that might be holding you back.
Yeah.
I know some of my limiting beliefs are just around, I guess, self-care and self-compassion. That's something that has come up for me of late of if a friend was in a situation, I would respond to them very differently than how I respond to myself.
Yeah. And
it holds me back because I'm sitting there just constantly beating myself up internally.
Is that the grace factor, though?
Yeah.
Of giving yourself just an insane amount of grace.
Right. like, I think as a woman, a lot of times we look in the mirror and see something and think certain thoughts of like, oh, I don't like the way this certain body part looks. And I can't speak for men, but I know that's a common thing for women. But you would never say to a friend, oh my gosh, your love handles are so big, or...
Yeah. So why would you say that to yourself?
Right.
Right. And it's body positivity is a big thing, because a lot of limiting beliefs surrounding, you know, the way you see yourself comes from, you know, I'm not going to use the word lightly, but, you know, systemic, you know, views on what the perfect body is supposed to look like. And, you know, there is no perfect body. There is no perfect, you know, anything, really. Right. I mean, there is one perfect thing in this whole universe, in my opinion, that's Jesus Christ. But everything else is just what you make of it.
Right. So when you make a mistake, or you don't like the way you look, or really any of that, it's acknowledging it and then trying to find a way to move on. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times we have these limiting beliefs of, that's great, I would love to have my dream life, but I'm just not cut out. It's not for me. And if you think that way, as Henry Ford said, you're right. That's how your life is going to play out. Yeah. But if you start changing your thought pattern, you can achieve it. Yeah. So start thinking about what limiting beliefs you have, and you can't fix it if you don't know about it. Right. So acknowledge it, decide you want to change it, mm-hmm. and then once you decide you're ready to change it, then start replacing it with new thoughts. So how do you identify it? You know, how do you find it? My idea would be, let's say, you know, 5 years ago you had this dream that you wanted to do something. Or last week you had this idea that you wanted to follow through with, but you didn't. Why did you not? Was it limitations on time, money? Did you just think about something else and start doing something else? But think about a time in your life where you wanted to do something. And then try to remember, not just back to why you didn't do it, but how it felt when you didn't do it. You know, was it relieving that you didn't do it, or was it disappointing? I mean, yeah, there were times in my past where I truly wanted to become a meteorologist. And in my mind, it's like, well, I'm a musician. I need to do something with band. And that's the path I need to go down. And so I chose not to. And the feelings I have are, I was disappointed, but I can still enjoy meteorology as just a civilian that doesn't practice meteorology. I can buy the same software that they have. I did. And I can look at the weather fronts, and I can, you know, evaluate systems and predict the different, you know, incoming weather just as good as a meteorologist would. Maybe not as good, because I don't have all that formal training. But I really made it a hobby of mine. Yeah. And that fulfilled that void. Right. To create it as a hobby and to focus on it like that. But you weren't going to go to college, but do you think you were smart enough to go that path? No, not at all. Right. I mean, in high school, my self-talk was, I'm not the kid that gets all A's. Right. And that really dictated how I approached school. Right. I didn't study. Right. I barely did my homework because I wasn't that kid. Right. And I was put in honors in 3rd grade. Yeah. So for me, I was the kid that got A's. So my behaviors and actions lined up with that. Yeah. I think if I hadn't gotten into honors in elementary school, that might have looked different. Right. So it's the stories we hear as kids and as adults, but the things that, you know, just those little things that are planted. Like, I auditioned for chorus in 4th grade and didn't make it. So then I'm like, oh, I'm a bad singer. And it took me years to finally start to sing. Not publicly by any means, but... She's a wonderful singer, especially in the car. Yes. Yeah, she does well. But I thought I was terrible, and I'm not completely tone deaf. No, you're not. And that's that limiting belief that was established by an outside source. Yes. Like body image. Right. And, you know, like how
how successful you can be in school.
Right.
Or how successful you can be at any endeavor.
Yeah. Well, and it's something in time I want to take vocal lessons.
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be a lot of fun and just kind of a hobby for myself. But if I still had that limiting belief of, oh, I can't sing, then I probably wouldn't sing in church. I probably wouldn't sing in the car.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sing silly songs to our son. Yeah. So I think you will be happier if you uncover those things that you were told as a kid.
Right.
That are limiting beliefs and hold you back. Even if it's not something that's going to have a huge impact on your life.
Right. No. You're absolutely right. I wish people could just hop.
Soapbox alert. All right, go ahead.
I truly wish people could hop into a time machine or hop in that DeLorean, hit it at 88, and jump back to a time where they had these dreams. Because so many people, they lose their ability to dream. They accept the reality that they're living in as what it's supposed to be. And that is so far from what the truth should be. Your tomorrow hasn't happened yet. And you get the ability to do with it what you want. You don't have to wake up tomorrow and keep doing the same thing. You don't.
Well, your today is determined by yesterday's choices. And tomorrow is determined by today's choices.
Yeah.
So where you are today is just a reflection of the decisions you've made in the past.
That's right. That's right.
Where you are tomorrow, maybe not exactly tomorrow, but in the future.
Where you are in 6 months is going to be determined with the daily actions you start today and moving forward.
Yep.
And people lack the ability to understand how powerful they are. They truly do. If you make a decision right now, today, that you are going to become extremely knowledgeable in one subject. And if you just made that your one thing, I promise you in 6 months, you're going to be an expert. Yeah. If that's all you consume for the next 6 months.
6 months is a long time.
It's a
when you
very
really
long
think
time.
About it. If you put in an hour or two a day.
That's 180 days. That's 360 hours. If you put in 2 hours a day, I think that math's out. But that's a long time. And that self-talk, that limiting belief of there's no way I can be this. Anyone can do anything, right? Anyone can really do anything unless there are physical restrictions that completely, alleviate your ability to do it. But when it comes to mind power and brain power, which is mostly what we talk about, we're not talking about how to build houses and physically build them. We're talking about how to build wealth.
Right.
Generational wealth.
Your thoughts can change everything.
That's right.
We attend Gary Johnston's class every year or two, and he says, where does the wealth process begin?
And it's in your thoughts.
Right. You have to get your mindset right, get rid of the limiting beliefs, and just change how you talk to yourself.
Yeah. And so find out what that thing is that you're having negative self-talk and it is a limiting belief. And decide that you want to change it. You have identified yourself as someone who is not X. Now you want to identify as that. I am now a savvy investor. I am now a good father. I am now, a fit person. I am now identifying as a runner. I am now identifying as a rollerblader. You got to make that choice that I was identifying as X, but now I want to identify as this.
Right.
And so that begins a process.
Right. When you change the way you identify yourself, it makes it easier to change those daily habits.
Right.
So the runner example, I had some tasty Chick-fil-A for breakfast, but would someone who calls themselves a runner go get a chicken biscuit a lot of mornings throughout the week? Probably not.
Right.
I don't identify as a runner, though. So
You identify as
a very pregnant woman who wanted some Chick-fil-A.
Let's say you are not a smoker. You do not smoke. What is the likelihood you're going to wake up in the morning and drive to the convenience store and buy a pack of Marlboro Reds?
Zero.
Because you do not identify as a smoker.
Right.
But if you wake up in the morning, different example, If you wake up every morning and you have now identified yourself as, I am a educator or I am a student of financial independence. I am a student and a learning person of financial independence. Do you think your daily actions are going to align with someone that is trying to become financially independent or consumeristic?
Right.
Right.
So you would shift instead of I'm watching The Crown right now because it's mid-September and the Queen just passed away, and I'm being, I guess, like it popped up as a popular thing on Netflix right now, so I got into it.
Right.
But if I was in the process of trying to formally educate or informally educate on real estate investing, I would not be spending my time consuming Netflix.
Right. You have to change your daily actions. And it's not like you're going to have to force to change your daily actions, because once you can shift that my identity is just not that anymore. You know, if your identity is I'm a working person, and when I come home, I rest. And by resting, I watch TV. And by watching TV, I veg. I don't do anything else. If you can shift and say, I am now a student of financial independence, and that is my focus. I want to be financially independent. I don't want to have to go to work all those hours just to trade it for some money so that I can come home and rest and then enjoy my 2 days on the weekend and wake right back up on Monday morning. You know, you have to change that conversation with yourself. But when you do make that change, and you say, you know what, I am now this type of person, it is not going to be difficult for you to turn off that TV.
Right.
It is not going to be difficult for you to buy audiobooks or books or any type of educational material. It's not going to be hard for you to say, you know what, cable, internet, well, you want to keep internet, but cable TV and all my subscriptions, they're gone. Yeah. And on average, you know, that costs people almost $250 to $500 a month on all subscriptions and entertainment. And if you can get rid of that, that's $6,000 a year. What can you do with $6,000 a year and the time savings of not doing all that stuff? You have now created a self-talk with yourself and identified as this new person. With $6,000, you can attend 2 seminars at least, if not 3. And you can start surrounding yourself with these people that are living the life that you're trying to achieve or are on the same journey as you.
Yeah.
And when you surround yourself with people that are on a like-minded journey, you're more likely to achieve it.
Right.
So, you know, if all you do is sit around and watch baseball on TV, and let's say you're a young kid and you're trying to be a baseball star, if all you do is sit and watch people do it, the likelihood of you joining them is very low. But if you get out there and you're practicing all the time and you're in the game and you're working on all your fundamentals all the time, there's no reason you don't have a better chance to be on that TV with them.
Right.
It's just, how are you going to change your life? It's not from the dugout.
Right.
You know, it's being involved.
Yeah. And just because you hit financial freedom doesn't mean your limiting beliefs go away.
No.
I know for us, one of the big ones we faced came about with the book Who Not How.
Yeah.
And the limiting belief there was, I do it better. I need to do all the work. And now we are trying to leverage other people.
I still struggle with that. Even currently with this renovation we're doing. It's like,
I know.
I know that I know I can do it, and I know I can do it a little quicker, and I know it'll be cheaper.
Right. But you can't do all of it.
Yeah.
In the timeline that we're trying to accomplish.
And it stings. It really hurts. Because I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff, but I have to make a choice. And that's a hard choice to make.
Yeah.
Do I want to go and fulfill the things that make me happy with doing that hard work? Or do I want to focus on the things that are going to bring more peace and freedom to my family?
Right. Well, and we, at the time of recording this, are launching the beta for our course.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're out working on this house all the time, you're not able to help all these other people.
Right.
And help us build this course that's eventually going to help even more people.
Yeah.
So you have to make choices, but I think that's a limiting belief. We both have had. Mine manifests a little bit differently, but it has held us back from scaling and doing more.
Yeah.
Because we want to do it ourselves. And we're slowly transforming how we view ourselves and how we talk to ourselves about that. And are allowing other people to help out and to scale. So
Yeah.
we're removing that limiting belief very, very slowly. So it's not going to happen overnight. But if you can start to acknowledge your limiting beliefs and how they impact your life. If you tried to do everything on this house, we wouldn't see you. And then that puts me in a weird spot. Not weird, but, you know, I would be taking care of our son while very, very pregnant, and it would put a lot of stress on us.
Yeah.
So acknowledge how it impacts your life. Think about those limiting beliefs. Decide you want to change them. That's important. You've got to make sure you're ready to make that transformation.
That's right.
And then start replacing it with a new thought and transforming those limiting beliefs, and it'll transform your life in ways you never could imagine.
You're so right. And
hey, can we?
I'm thinking of something.
Hold on. What did
All
you
right,
just
Tiffany.
say?
I said you're right.
Yeah. And this is recorded, so it's fantastic.
Oh, you're right. I said that one with a smirk.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Master of Disguise?
Am I turtle enough?
No, it's not that quote.
That's the only one I got.
He changes everything he does to fit into different scenarios.
Right. He's a master of disguise.
Whenever he does that, he says, become another person. Become another person.
Okay.
And that's what I was thinking when you were saying that. It's like, okay, have this new thought, become this new person, you know, change the conversation about limiting beliefs. I'm becoming another person. Okay.
All right. We need to find that movie and watch it while I'm
I agree.
postpartum recovery.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a good laugh.
Yes, it would.
All right. You got anything else?
Well, just overall, how you talk to yourself matters. Be nice to yourself.
Yeah. That's
You deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve it. Don't be so hard on yourself. You truly are capable more than you give yourself credit for. Did I ever think that I would be in my 30s and not working a W-2 and having a 7-figure net worth? I never thought. I never thought I would ever have net worth over 50,000.
Well, in the house we're about
just
to move into, we're both kind of like, I never thought we'd own something like this.
Yeah, it's when you can change that conversation with yourself, you open so many doors. You change your future, you change your destination, you change things for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for those around you, your grandkids, everything. Because people are going to see you be successful. They're going to want it. They're going to ask you how you did it. You have so much ability to impact so many people. It goes far beyond what I think most people realize, because people watch you and people see the impact you have on you, yourself, and your family. And people will often, when they see that, they're going to be jonesing. But don't let it become a bragging thing. Let it become a teaching opportunity and show them the way.
Yeah. Bring people with you.
Yeah.
Are you done?
I don't
Soapbox
know.
over?
So,
that was a long soapbox.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out with us and listening to us talk about limiting beliefs. What lessons can you take from this podcast and apply to your life? Don't let the time you just invested go to waste. You only get one life, so live it purposefully. That's all we have for you today. See you next time.
Are you ready to discover and build your dream life? Then it's time to become a Pathfinder. Head over to onpurposeinvestor.com and sign up for our newsletter to get tips and tricks to help you find your path and get the latest from our blog. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate an honest review on your favorite podcast app. If you're enjoying this show, share it with friends, family, and fellow investors. See you next time at the On Purpose Investor Podcast.